Hello everyone and welcome back to the One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Colin and today we are going to start Planet 4 of Unsettled. This is Yendraal. So this one is a very interesting planet. It is totally flooded. So we're going to be moving through waters, and as you can imagine, our suits don't like that so much. I will say that Task A I didn't enjoy as much, so I'm actually going to be showing you Task C on this one. And I'm not saying that Task A is bad, it just wasn't for me as much. And what's fun about this game is that each planet has 3 tasks. So I thought, well, I might as well show you one that I think is cool. So let's start with Task C. As always, this will be a spoilery playthrough. When you see this, you will know what will happen for Task C as far as we get. So just want to call that out there. All right, without further ado, let's jump in. Before we jump in, I do need to mention something. I've been doing analyze data wrong this whole time, so the last 3 playthroughs. You actually pick up data wherever Luna is. So if Luna is on a specific node, that's where you pick up data. The explorers cannot pick up data. They can pick up materials, and then they can generate power anywhere. Okay, now we're going to do that right going forward. Let's now jump in to learn about this planet, Yendraal. Forged in flood, Yendraal is beautiful. A massive coral ecosystem. It thrums with vibrant, colorful life. Eternal, ever-changing tides ebb through every corner of the planet, spreading nutrients, vitality, and a sense of constant motion to their living world. This intricately balanced network of organisms is carefully maintained, controlled, and protected by an ancient sentience at its core, a consciousness that isn't quite sure what to make of our arrival, and that will do what it must to protect its home. We can feel its presence in our mind, hear what it wants us to hear, see what it wants us to see. We quickly realize, at its mercy. To set up this planet, we're going to stack the Yendraal favor cards face down and shuffle them up, and then we're going to set the eco cards aside until referenced. We also will place the flood and sponge tokens to the side. However, you're going to see we're going to be placing out the sponge tokens for this scenario relatively quickly. And here we have the flood tokens. You're going to be seeing those very shortly as well. We're going to place the flood, the purple square trigger token, on the second space of the timeline tracker. Every time we trigger that, we are going to essentially have a specific flood. And that's how this planet can feel so alive, is that every time you hit that trigger, different nodes will become flooded. I love how that works. We're going to place all of our discoveries face down with the water illustration up and mix them around. And in this planet, they're going to be coming out and being put away all the time, so you want to keep them all messed up instead of being on your display. Also, whenever we do an investigate, at least from how I understand this, we can investigate the same tile as many times as we want. So we will not have to use this to denote that we've already investigated a specific node. Yendraal is a massive coral body controlled by a sentient core and ravaged by ever-shifting tides that flood nodes without warning. If you're to survive here, you'll need to navigate the floods, which of course cause distress, while also maintaining favor with the planet itself, primarily by helping relocate discoveries to their proper habitats, which will mean entering the floods. Each time the planetary trigger is reached, the floods will move, and you will resolve the effects of your current standing with the planetary core. Oh, and don't forget, you also have your own tasks to deal with. It just might be one of those days. On this side, it simply talks about how you do the flooding. Since we're going to be doing it in the playthrough, I don't need to explain it here. You're going to see it in just a second. It is important to note that an explorer that enters a flooded node, or if their node, which was previously not flooded, becomes flooded, you gain a distress. So that's one of the main ways you gain distress in this one. Also, the only way we gain those discoveries, and of course the anomalies, is by the flooded tiles. When we do an investigate, we're actually going to find things of a different type of task that we can do to actually gain Yendraal's favor. Hey there, Future Colin here. I do want to mention one thing that I'm going to forget about for the good first portion of this playthrough, and that's going to be any location that gets flooded. Any resources on there, whether it be data or materials, gets washed away. You have to take it off of the node. I'm going to totally forget that. I don't think it affects a ton, but I'll make sure to make a subtitle for it as well. But I just wanted to tell you here in audio version so that you know. All right, back to the regular scheduled program. Why we want to gain Yendral's favor is every time we hit that time tracker and we have a flood, we're going to resolve a Yendral's favor card. There's two sides to the card. One is a boon and one's a burden. I kind of think of it that way. Are they called a bane? And what we want to try and do is complete both if we can. If we complete the bane side, then that means this negative effect won't happen. If we can also complete the boon side, we can get the positive effect from that side as well. We can do one side or the other, or we can do both sides, or neither. Sometimes it's just best to deal with Yendral's wrath. And how we're going to be able to do that is by investigating, and you'll see how that works as we play. Our task is called Cricket. It has come to this. Our surviving intern, affectionately nicknamed Cricket, is suffering from depression surrounding the recent loss of his superiors and colleagues and prized collection of hobbyist stuff and hope in general. It's all just very real. So nicknamed because of the bizarre yet endearing chirping sound he makes when excited, it's been a long time since we've heard such a peep from him, and the moniker is starting to feel darkly ironic. He's become more and more distant. We can't get him to exercise, eat well, or even leave his quarters. Thanks to his intense medical education, he undoubtedly understands his condition but is struggling to come to grips with it. We get it. So here we are, hovering above this alien aquatic wonderland that Luna tells us is basically one giant sentient being, and all we can think about is Cricket, because that's what it means to be part of a crew. Each of us are uniquely valuable and loved, but we need to help Cricket realize that. We thought joining us on this mission to gather resources would lift his spirits, but he refused. Perhaps, instead, while we're down here, we can find something that will help us break through to him. Place the scarab set apart as shown, so we're not going to be able to reach the scarab at the beginning. Place 3 specific nodes as shown, so you can see 1, 2, 3, I've placed those. And then randomize the remaining nodes and place them face up in the configuration shown. Place the crew on the node closest to the scarab, so that'll be this one. And then place 3 sponge tokens as shown right here. We have our 3 starting tiles that we know about. We are going to start on this one. Oh, I love how these look, the magnificent reef. And now I can reveal the rest of these tiles. This is what Yendraal looks like. And you can see there's spaces for all of the flood tiles. Yeah, we're going to be placing those very soon. We'll start here. Great Barrier Reef. Moments after hitting the water, an enormous spongy coral reef grows up around the scarab, completely cutting off our retreat. And we realize, basically burying Cricket alive. So we're a bit off plan already. We then feel the planet reaching out to us and realize the truth. Cricket is something of a hostage. Time to fight back the only way we know how. Science. We first need to construct all 3 science structures on open build sites. And you can imagine the 3 sites are those 3 revealed tiles at the beginning, and they are on each edge of the planet. Yay! So we're going to have to get there. You know, I feel a little bit gypped because Sophie and Chad have never talked to me about Cricket, and this is our 4th planet that we've been on. I can't believe it, but you know, they keep things to themselves, I guess. So Sophie here can choose to either be an altruist or an intellectual. So when you do the rest action, you get to pip up your die as normal, but if you do use your awareness die, she can also pip up her insight. The altruist, she can remove 1 distress from a local explorer, and it doesn't pip down her die. That's kind of nice because we're going to have to go into floods often. The opposite side, intellectual, the recover, you could gain 2 insight, but then you push down the trust, which to me it doesn't look great. Or we have theorize here. Another explorer actually gains 2 insight instead of 1, and you don't have to pip down the die. Seems to me altruist is the way to go, so we'll place this over here. We're also going to start Sophie on engineering because that just seems like the appropriate answer. We really want 1 of each so that we can build those buildings. So yeah, I'll have her go engineering. Chad here could either be a commander or a skeptic. As a commander, he could do a theorize. Another explorer rotates their insight block to match yours, but then gains 3 insight, but we push down trust. Yeah, I don't love that. Skeptic, you would use theorize, and you could just gain 1 of any materials type, and it doesn't pip down your die. Actually, neither of these do. On the other side, we have skeptic, investigate, pursue an opportunity on your node, then gain 2 insight. Or the commander, reveal an opportunity on another explorer's node. Whoa, and you pip up your die, and if you use your energy one, you'd gain an insight. Oh, this one's hard. I think I'm going to have him go commander. Yeah, let's have him go commander. We probably just aren't going to use this one on this side. Anything that hits trust, I don't love unless you have an easy way to push trust the other way, because that's a great way to lose all of your focus, which we know we don't want to do. And of course, we each start with our 3 focus blocks or cubes at the 2 pip spot. Okay, I think we're ready. We know what we want to do. We want to build some sites, so that means we need to gain some insight. And I should say we technically don't have to. We could just spend the time. But I like to gain that insight at the same time that we're getting ready to do some building. So since Chad is the commander this time, let's have Chad go first. And since we're on our board right now, let's go ahead and use our wonder die, tip it down to a 1, and that will gain us 1 insight. And let's check out what's on our tile. Remember, we don't have to place this on our tile, so that means that Sophie could also do an opportunity if she'd like. Let's see what Chad finds. And he has the bubbling mire. The planet surges. Your mind is invaded by what must be trillions of tiny creatures, fish, plankton, jellyfish, all being swept into darkness as a massive wave draws back, leaving behind a startlingly murky, bubbling, marsh-like puddle of a bio-ooze. Everything is dim until you approach, timid but glowing. Place the moment marker here when the location to the right is found, and of course everything's revealed, so we'll not even place the moment marker there. We'll place it in the appropriate spot, which you can see here. This is the Genesis pool, so we need to forfeit a discovery with the bioluminescence property at the Genesis pool node to be able to complete this. If we do, we can choose 2 different things. What these 2 symbols mean is we could gain 2 favor with Yendraal. Those 2 favor we could put either on the Bane or the Boon side. We also could potentially gain 1 insight or 1 focus cube pip up. Our Genesis pool is right here, and now you're going to see right now we have no discoveries on the board, but that's because we haven't hit that trigger. What I might want to do, but I kind of like being able to move around without the flood tokens on here to start with. I could rest now to get those out on the board, and then I know maybe where to go. But I think I have a plan instead. Those discoveries will show up once we start flooding tiles. And you guys know me, I get way too excited. I forgot to show you the primary operative of Luna. We have Emit Biobubble. An explorer within 1 node of Luna cannot gain distress from floods this turn, so you can use 1 focus cube to do that. If we look here, where we're coming from on this tile, we could actually gain 2 insight by simply doing a move onto the Yawning Maw. I like that. So we'll do our free move to move here, gaining 2 insight. And then after gaining that 2 insight, let's go ahead and traverse. That will also tick down our focus cube, but also give us another insight to do that so we can move another time. We can move to the intricately bonded dome. I love this art. I know I always say that, but look at this. I mean, yeah, a coral planet. This is exactly what you would expect. These vibrant colors, and it just pops out at you on the table. It's great. This is going to allow him to gain 1 robotics comprehension. Chad will move his insight die all the way around. He's definitely going to go for chemistry next. We'll grab that robotics comprehension, and let's grab his robotics breakthrough. And we have the activate hydraulic suction. Luna draws an adjacent explorer 1 node closer to her, ignoring all node edge symbols. Yeah, that's a great one. Speaking of Luna, let's go ahead and roll for some data. Oh, she gets 1 data. Not rolling nearly as well as she was rolling before. And then let's have Luna move here, because potentially if we roll for some good data here, we could pick it up and actually pull Sophie or Sophia across that double time. Our final cube we will use to rest. That will move our time marker, and we hit our first flood trigger. When you hit that flood trigger, you're going to reveal the top Yendraal's favor card. Oh, this one's terrible. Okay, so normally what would happen, 1 would already be revealed. You would do the number 1 and then number 2. But since it's the first time we hit it, all we do is number 1, and then we reveal this and leave it out. So our number 1 is we need to roll both dice, the blue and the green die, and we're going to see which tiles need to be flooded. So we'll roll these up here. We have 1s and 2s. All tiles except for the build sites have 1s or 2s on them. You can see that here in the corner. So now what we're going to do is place a flood tile on all the 1s and 2s. And now you see that Chad is in a flooded tile, but Sophie's not. So Chad will immediately take distress because of that. I've also now placed discoveries on top of those flooded tiles as well. What we can do is use one of our focus cubes, and it doesn't even tip it down. We can use it to immediately gain that discovery token as well as an anomaly. Then what we can do is we can deliver those to the specific places. For an example, if we can get a bioluminescence, which just happens to be we have one over here now, if we deliver that to this space, then we could gain up to 2 favors for Yendraal. I could then place those either in the boon or the bane spaces, or one in each, and by the time we hit that next trigger, I want to, if possible, be able to prevent the negative and maybe get the benefit. If you look on our specific Yendraal favors card, if we complete 2 of these, we would be able to distribute removing 2 distress between all of our explorers. If we don't fill these 2, Yendraal's Bane is we have to spend 3 time if they're both not filled. So you can imagine I'm going to be filling that one first before I even think about this one. 3 time is insane. Chad also has to gain a distress card. All the distress are the same here. Low oxygen. Immediately pip down 1 die for each discovery you're carrying. Well, we're not carrying any right now. So I'm just going to place this on the board. And the nice thing is it doesn't hit trust. Remember, I cannot place distress on rest. I can only place it on the other 5 spaces, so I'm going to place it here on the recovery. And in this one, it can really be an issue. There's only 6 of these cards, 3 per player. And if ever you need to gain a distress and you cannot, you know what happens? Everyone's wonderful endurance goes down by 1. You lose an entire round, so you do not want to do that. We want to make sure that we manage our distress. We don't want too much low oxygen. Okay, now it's Sophie or Sophia's turn. Sophie really liked Chad's idea of gaining so much insight. Yeah, it's going to mean we're going to have to deal with some distress, but I think she's still going to do it. She's going to spend 1 of her free movement to move into the Yawning Maw. That's going to gain her 2 insight. However, because there's a flood here, and we chose not to emit the bio bubble, we're going to take a distress. We'll also place that low oxygen on our recover. Then we are going to do the same thing. Well, first 1, 2, plus we're going to gain another 2 insight because we are also going to do the traverse action. But that's going to cause us to gain another distress. I'm going to place this one over our theorize. We gain that second distress because we moved into another flooded tile. Then we're going to have Luna roll for some data. We rolled a 2. That's awesome. I don't think you can see that because Sophie's hiding it. There you go, 2. We're then going to do this right using our awareness cube, and we're going to gain 2 data that's on Luna's node. Yay! Oh, that makes so much more sense than us randomly picking up data. And then, of course, we'll rest with our wonder die. We'll tick ourselves up 1 on the time track. We haven't moved Luna, but I actually think I'm going to keep her where she's at. We're going to end Sophia's turn. Let's now move to Chad's turn. Chad's going to start his turn having Luna emit a bio bubble. An explorer, he's going to choose himself. Within 1 node of Luna cannot gain distress from floods this turn. This means he can move into this tile for free with no problems. He's then going to use his energy die, and he's going to collect this bioluminescence discovery. He's found a primordial rock urchin. He's then going to have Luna move to the Genesis pool and roll for some more data. And we have 3 data there. And then we'll have him spend 1 data and activate the hydraulic suction. Luna draws an adjacent explorer 1 node closer to her node, ignoring all node edge symbols. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to get pulled over to here. And then what we can do is, as a free action, we can forfeit a discovery with the bioluminescent property at this location. Let's just see what it would have been. And we could have had squeeze out biogenetic ooze. Discard. Place yourself up to 2 nodes closer to another explorer. Cool. Well, we don't get that. We instead gave this up, but now we can gain 2 Yendraal favors. I can choose where I want to put them. I could place 1 here, 1 here, but I'm not silly. We're going to do both here. That way, we're guaranteed not to lose 3 times. No insight was gained during that turn, but I'm still okay with it because we are getting closer to where we can build, and we just got rid of that 3 time issue. We'll move up our time tracker by 1. Now let's move to Sophia's turn. We already have 3 distress, so I think it'd be great if we could get the Yendraal's boon as well. If we want to do that, though, we have to do some more investigating. So I'm going to investigate. The nice thing is that will also gain us an engineering comprehension. And I think I'm going to go robotics next, just because I like robotics. And let's see what our breakthrough is. Our breakthrough is stimulate microbial mat. So what this means, we can spend 1 power, then we could gain 1 Yendraal favor, and we could place it anywhere on the boon or the bane side, but then we'd have to, if able, reduce our insight by 2. This is a good mid to late game ability. Right now, I want insight badly, so probably won't be using it right away, but still a cool ability. Time-tested truths. The planet goes silent. Your mind, however, hums deeply, a rhythmic draining of wondrous scale, in tandem with something wondrous beneath your feet. Something timeless and true, you're left speechless. You sit quietly for what feels like hours until you rise with fresh purpose. Forfeit a discovery with the photosynthetic property at the monolithic coral tower node. It needs to have the photosynthetic, and that's one of the build sites. It's always going to be the same benefit. Usually I'm going to be using it for these 2 things. Well, you know where that is? It's right here. That's where Chad was hoping to go next time to be able to build the research hut. But we're going down here, and the photosynthetic is right here. So it's just the question of, are we going to have enough time to get ourselves all the way up there? That's going to be rough. I'm not sure. But you know what? Let's try it anyways. I'm going to use my awareness die to pick up that photosynthetic discovery. From there, let's do our free move to move to the coral core. We have a pretty sweet effect. When entering, gain 1 pip up for each of the Yendraal favors we've completed. Well, we have 2 completed, so we can have Sophia pip up 2 dice. We'll choose the energy die we haven't used yet, and our awareness die that we just used to pick up that discovery. We'll then do a rest with that energy die, and let's see what we have. Oh, we have another squeeze out biogenetic ooze, and we actually have engineering comprehension. So we might actually be able to use this. Oh, we'd have to discard the photosynthetic. And that's what we need. So never mind, that's not going to work. Remember, if we want that boon from the Yendraal's favor, we have to do it before we hit this trigger. To finish off Sophie's turn, let's have Luna roll for some materials, and she gets a 1. That'll end Sophia's turn. Let's now move to Chad. And I think the first thing we're going to do is have Luna pick up some of this data. We'll use our awareness cube for this, and we gain 2 out of the 3 that's there. We're then going to move Luna and then use one of these to have her yank us back over to that tile. We'll have Luna move, but before she yanks us, we are going to pick up this discovery. It's just nice to have those discoveries. It also means that the next time we hit that trigger, if this tile is still flooded, it'll gain a new discovery token. Part of the reason why I felt like it'd be nice. And we don't have to pip down the die, so why the heck not? Then Luna's going to pull us over here. We don't gain the insight, but we don't have to hit the time. Only bad thing with all of this is we have not been gaining a lot of insight. So we're going to hit the time in just a second. Let's look at what we have. We have arouse glowing enzymes. Discard to distribute between explorers within 2 nodes. 2 insight and 2 pip-ups. Nice. Of course, no one has chemistry comprehension, but that's still a nice ability. We're now 1 time away from losing our first endurance. We'll now move to Sophia's turn. The first thing she's going to do is use that energy die, pipping it down by 1. She does have the engineering comprehension, so it does not take the time to build this. We will place that out at the end of her turn. The next thing we're going to do, and you can do this anytime as a free action, you can change what your insight's at, but let's say if I had been up here and I decided to change it, I have to put it all the way back down to the beginning. While I was at robotics at the beginning, I decided I'm going to have them both go for chemistry to figure out who's going to get it first, because who knows. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her investigate using her wonder die, so that gives her 1 insight. Let's see what Sophia finds. She finds the luminous pulse. The planet shakes. Your body trembles, reverberating from what feels like titanic quakes, rippling like thunder through the waves. Then stillness, and a soft green light pulsing gently among thousands, ebbing and flowing, reflecting on the silhouettes of passing jellied saucers. Okay, we need to forfeit a discovery with the bioluminescence property at the Aurelia Constellation Tract node. The Aurelia Constellation Tract is right here. That's that node. And you know what's nice? Chad has a bioluminescent discovery. All he has to do is get all the way over there. Maybe we can do that. We still have a free move, and not that I love it, because we're going to gain another distress. Oh, and that's going to, well, that'll pip down one die because we have one discovery, but I do think it's worth moving here. So we're going to move here, gaining another distress, having to pip down one die. I'm banking on Chad getting to that Aurelian constellation spot. Okay, we're going to grab this. Remember, we have to tip down one of our focus cubes because we're carrying one discovery. But then we'll rest, we'll tip it back up. Well, I'm not entirely sure how possible it's going to be for Chad to do that, considering he has to do it before he hits the time at the end of his turn or during his turn. We also all lose 1 endurance. We haven't done anything with Luna yet, so let's roll for some data. She found 2 there. I do think, though, we're going to keep Luna on that node. Let's go to Chad's turn. Before we start Chad's turn, let's not forget we did build the workshop. So we're 1/3 of the way through our first part of this task. To start Chad's turn, he's going to build that research hut, and he's going to emit a bio bubble. So getting that research hut means we've got 2 out of the 3 completed. We still have to build the laboratory. That bio bubble means that we do not gain an insight when moving into flooded tiles this turn. So what we're going to do is move Luna here. Then we are going to spend one of the 2 data that we have to pull Chad over to here, pulling him 1 closer to Luna's node. We ignore the node edge effects, but then we'll have Chad move here, and he'll gain 1 insight, and then he'll be able to drop off his photosynthetic discovery so that we gain 2 more of the Yendraal favors. And what am I saying? It's bioluminescence. He has the bioluminescent one, so we'll discard that. We no longer have this anomaly, but now we have 2 more Yendraal favors. We also don't want to forget that 1 beautiful insight. I really need to get my chemistry insight up. Well, that sure is going to be a nice benefit for us. We'll be able to get rid of 2 on, I'm thinking it's going to be Sophia. We'll use that awareness focus cube to rest, and then we will place out our research hut. So that's 2 out of the 3 that are done. It'll also mean we need to resolve Yendraal's favor. Let's place that research hut right here so we don't forget. The first thing we need to do is roll our dice and flood those nodes. Oh, it's only going to be 1 nodes. Interesting. I actually never had that the last time I played this. So we only have 1 nodes. Then we resolve this and we'll draw another one. So we get to remove 2 of the distress between our 2 explorers, and then we can ignore this negative effect. I think it's safe to say we know it's going to be Sophia. She had 3 of these, so we'll remove 2 of them. Now what we'll do is unflood any of the 2 nodes. So this node will be unflooded, this one will be unflooded, and this one will be unflooded. Any of the ones that are empty will now refresh with new discoveries. The one that we already have here, the photosynthetic, we'll leave as is. We now have a bioluminescent discovery, a spongy one, and we still have the same photosynthetic over with Chad. Let's now replace this card, and let's see what we have underneath here. This one, we have Yendraal's boon, is we can distribute 1 of any of these comprehensions. If we do not complete this side, we have to distribute 1, we lose trust, and 3 pip downs. That's actually not terrible. The trust would be the biggest thing, but that's actually not terrible. This, though, is awesome. Moving to Sophia's turn, we're going to have Luna move here and have her roll for some more data, because we love data. How about 3 there? That's beautiful. Sophie is then going to move from the intricately bonded dome to the delicate edifice. She's going to do that, but that's going to cause her to gain a distress, and she's going to have to pip down one of these dice. Yeah, let's do this one. We're going to pip down our energy die down to a 1. I don't love this, but I think I'm going to cover my investigate. I don't like it. We can always get rid of it. I just have to spend focus. It's so expensive. Then I think we are going to do a theorize. That will gain us 1 insight, but it'll also have Chad over here gain 1 insight. We're moving up our chemistry comprehension. Love it. I then think I'm going to use my wonder die here to pick up this spongy, ever-efficient conch. I'll then spend my 3rd and final focus cube to rest. Let's see what we have here. We have arouse glowing enzymes. Okay, we've seen this before. We need chemistry comprehension. No, none of us have that. Because of that rest, we will slowly creep up that time tracker. Okay, now it's Chad's turn. The first thing Chad is going to do is he's going to try and acquire this translucent worm. That'll be a photosynthetic discovery. He's then going to use his free move to move to this spot, which will gain him 1 insight. Thank you, Genesis Pool. Now, if only my focus wasn't so gosh darn low, I do think I am going to use my awareness die here to investigate, but that means I will not gain the insight. And then just because I'm here, I'm also going to rest, and that will tip up this die. That will cause time to continue to press on. We have, for this opportunity, the Mind Crash. The planet grumbles. An unexpectedly freakish smell wafts in through your biosuit, an aroma both tantalizing and slightly sour, as if a chemical reaction were occurring. Visions of a large meteorite pummel your helpless mind, and soon you find yourself in search of something, anything to quell the mental agony. Forfeit a discovery with the spongy property at the subsumed meteorite node. Well, you know who has something spongy is Sophia. You know where Sophia's going? That way. You know where we need to go with that if we want to use it is here. So yeah, that ain't going to happen. We're going to have Luna roll for some materials, 1, and then we'll have her move here. This means it's now Sophia's turn, and it's time for some fun. She's going to move here to the Maze of Insight. What a name and what a location. Wouldn't that be fun to walk through? Well, as long as you had enough food and a place to go to the bathroom. But she's going to gain 2 insight for this. Then we're going to have her do a traverse, and we'll use that energy focus so she can gain 2 more insight, and she's going to move from here to the subterranean passage, which also states when entering, if you are carrying a discovery, gain 1 insight. So that means she's going to gain a total of 4 insight just with doing these 2 moves. We'll gain the first 2 insight, and then the second 2, 1, and let's definitely go robotics 2. That will give us the chemistry comprehension we need and a chemistry breakthrough. We have a share a little pizzazz. All explorers gain 1 focus pip up for each one of the favors we have. That is nice. I, of course, have to place my focus cube there to show that I did that. We now have the chemistry comprehension. Let's use our wonder die. It's going to go to the time symbol, but that's going to allow us to build the laboratory. At the end of our turn, we can move to the next task. We're then going to move Luna over here. We'll have her roll for some materials. She gets 1 materials. We actually now have something to use materials for, but that's still, 1's better than none, I guess. And of course, last but not least, we'll do a rest. That means we will place our time tracker 1 space closer, 3 more time, and we need to have something done on that Yendraal's Bane, or we're going to have to deal with a lot of pip downs. But we do get to build the laboratory. Yes, and that can actually use materials to pip up our dice as well. Oh, that's nice. I forgot about that. Oh, wait. Before we finish Sophia's turn, we're going to use the 1 data we have here so we can pull Chad onto this tile. Want to do that so I can avoid this time. Also, I forgot to show you what his anomaly was for his photosynthetic discovery that he found. Not that it's going to matter, because he's going to discard that here so that we have some Yendraal favors. He found the squeeze out biogenetic ooze, which he can't even use because he doesn't have engineering comprehension. Calm before the storm. As we ready our equipment for science battle, the planet begins to reveal more of its intentions, which, like us, are basically just keep living. The planet's ecosystem is slowly dying. Things have gotten out of balance, and its only means of control, the floods, aren't exactly a precision instrument. It wants us to help redistribute and restore various life forms from certain regions to others in an effort to restore the balance. Which is nice and all, but we want to redistribute Cricket out from underneath his coral prison. So this is going to have to go both ways. While we're redistributing life forms as planetary bane avoidance, we're also going to conduct extensive research on how to go even farther, to initiate a complete ecological reset in the planetary core, which, we surmise, would be shocking enough to result in the retraction of the coral cage that holds the scarab. It's a long shot, but it's what Cricket would do for us. Well, probably not. Right now, he'd probably just sit there, but that's beside the point. We need to reveal all 3 ecosystem cards, turn them face up side by side in any order. Once set, the order cannot change. We need to complete a biological chain by delivering 6 discoveries with specific properties to the research hut, laboratory, and workshop, which of course are on all other sides of the board. Each time a discovery is delivered to a structure, and that discovery to that structure's card in an available space with a matching property. Each structure has a comprehension requirement. Example, engineering is required at the workshop, etc. The pink link shows one option for a completed chain. So you don't have to do it this way, but yeah, oh boy, when the biological chain is complete, advance. Well, this is really cool and going to be a challenge. What we need to do is be able to connect a link between all 3 of these cards. Right now, Sophia is at the laboratory. She has both a photosynthetic and a spongy. So, of course, that's kind of useless. We're never going to want to go both ways. But I can give up one and maybe use another, or I can maybe bring her over. Well, she has engineering, so we can maybe get this spongy here and the photosynthetic here. Chad right now has photosynthetic. However, I'm still thinking of using that to resolve the Yendraal's Bane, get rid of that so that negative effect doesn't happen, instead of putting it here. So this is what we have to complete now. Ah, this is cool. To start Chad's turn, he's going to use that awareness focus cube. So on Luna's node, which is the same node that he's in, we can collect 2 data. We're also going to use our energy cube here, so we can only pick up 1, but that's okay. There's only 1 materials in our space. Then we will give up our photosynthetic discovery here, and we're going to help us with 2 more of these Yendraal favors. It's super duper tempting to put them here, but I think I'm going to place them on this side. Sophie, though, is going to share a little pizzazz and have all explorers gain 2 pip-ups for the 2 Yendraal favors we have using the 1 materials that Chad just picked up. That's what I'm talking about, teamwork. They really have learned how to work well together. For Sophie, she'll move up to a 1 on her wonder die, and on her energy die, she'll move to a 2. We're then going to have Chad rest, tipping this up to a 2, so now he has a 1, 2, and a 2. We're also going to leave Luna where she is, rolling for some materials, and that's what I'm talking about, 3 materials. We will then have to tick up our time. It's back to Sophia's turn. Sophia's going to start off with charging some power, tipping this down to a 1, but will generate 2 power since she used her energy die. She's then going to stimulate a microbial mat, so we'll gain 1 Yendraal favor, but we have to reduce our insight by 2 if able. I think that'll be worth it, especially since she only has 1 to begin with, so going down by 2 didn't hurt us much. We now, though, have kind of committed to trying to get 1 more of those, because then we could gain a comprehension just like that. We're then currently at the laboratory, and we do have chemistry comprehension. We're going to give up this photosynthetic discovery so we can complete that. We'll have to discard our anomaly card, but now we have 1 down, 5 to go. We'll then go ahead and use our awareness die to remove this from our board. We can remove 1 distress from a local explorer, and then we will rest with our wonder die, but that will hit both of our endurance by 1. We're also going to have Luna roll for some data. Wow, that is the best tile to ever be on. Don't ever leave that tile, Chad. 3 data, 3 materials, research hut. I love it. However, that time is going to continue to tick. At the start of Chad's turn, Sophia will use that last power. She's going to stimulate some microbial mats. We'll gain that final Yendraal favor. She can't reduce her insight anymore. And I'm realizing I don't think I spent this materials. I'm going to place that in there. Sorry about that. This means one of us will be able to gain a free comprehension at the end of Chad's turn, which is pretty epic if you ask me. For Chad's turn, I think we are going to just do some more collection of materials and data. So we will use our 2 dice here to collect 2 of each, 2 materials and 2 more data. Then we're going to use 1 materials, and we're going to activate that share little pizzazz. We're going to be able to pip up 4 dice. Now, it's not each explorer. I did that last time as each explorer pips up 4 dice. It's in total for 4. So last time I pipped up 2 extra dice. This time, I'd normally be able to pip up 4 dice. I'm only going to pip up 2. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cheat. So we'll pip up these 2 like so. We're then going to use 2 data right now so that we can use the research hut. Remember, we can do that from anywhere. Granted, Chad is at the research hut, but we can do that from anywhere we want to increase our insight by 1. So we just increased our insight by 2. This means that we now will have some chemistry comprehension, and I think I'm going to go back to robotics because I think my plan is I'm going to give Chad the free engineering, and so that way I have one of our players with all 3 different types. So his breakthrough is emulate apex jellyfish. A local explorer moves 1 space, either ignoring or doubling the effect of a node edge symbol. That's cool. I'm going to end Chad's turn with moving Luna over here. It actually kind of hurt us that we only had flooding in 3 tiles. The reason for that is because I've collected 2 of those discoveries. I kind of have to wait till new ones come out. I could try and get this one, but it just didn't feel worth waiting into here until we figure out where the floods are going to be and what discoveries are going to be here. I could be foregoing them. So I decided to stay in the build sites for both of us to keep ourselves out of the floods. We're now going to see where the new floods are, and we can make a plan of action of where we want to go. Luna can't roll for materials or data because there's some in both of her sites of where she left the node and the node that she's in. So yeah, I think that's going to end Chad's turn. We're going to rest, and then we'll start that next turn for Sophia. I have to say, this planet better love us. We're doing lots of things to help it. Not only are we doing the Yendraal favors, but we're also doing the main thing, which is helping the ecosystem. This planet better love us. We'll move to that trigger token. Let's start by rolling to determine our flooded tiles, and we have tiles 3s and 2s. I'll do that in a second. And then we are going to activate this card. So I am going to give engineering comprehension to Chad. Thank you, Yendraal. That means he'll gain a breakthrough for that as well. And we have Trap Inside Chrono Glow Blue. It states, this turn, a local explorer ignores 1 time symbol on a map node edge. Nice. We then can ignore the negative effect. Let's remove these, and we'll now see what our new one is. Okay, if this one's not filled, we gain 2 distress. That's not terrible. If these 2 are filled, we get 2 data and 2 materials. Currently, we have flooded tiles of just 1s. We'll now have flooded tiles of 2s and 3s. And now we're talking. We've got some photosynthetic, spongy, bioluminescent, 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 and spongy. So a little bit of everything. I like it. In order for us to complete the ecosystem, we need a bioluminescent discovery at the laboratory. That's actually right here. So I think Sophia is going to spend her free move to move here. That means she will gain a distress, but she'll also gain an insight. We'll place that distress back onto our theorize, and remember we do have 1 discovery that we're carrying, so let's pip this one down to a 1. Bummer, we have 2 1s. It is what it is. Next, though, we are going to place our awareness cube here to pick up that bioluminescent discovery. Use our wonder die for some movement. We're not going to gain the insight, but that's actually okay. Oh, I should have gained 1. Remember, I'm likely going to use power to gain that Yendraal's favors if I really want. And then we will pip this up, but I'm going to go ahead and place this onto our ecosystem. We'll place that beautiful discovery token here. This would have been the anomaly. Who cares? I don't even want to look at it because we're not going to use it for it, because that means the laboratory is complete. I have Spongy in my inventory as well. If I can get over to the workshop, I can complete Spongy, and if I can pick up the photosynthetic, I would have these 4 done. That means all Chad needs to do is get a Spongy and then either a photosynthetic or a bioluminescent. I almost forgot with that move back here, we would gain an additional insight because we're carrying a discovery when we moved into this tile. And of course, we hit our time. One more insight makes me think maybe we should get up there and get robotics. Who knows what that discovery, or I should say breakthrough, would be. To finish Sophia's turn, let's have Luna move here and scan for some data. And we've got 3 data here. Oh, you know what I'm realizing, you guys? I've been cheating. Any of the tiles, and I'll make a note as I'm watching, any of the tiles that are flooded, none of the materials can stay there. And from how I read it, it's both types, both materials and data. You cannot collect those from flooded tiles. Totally makes sense. The flood would flush it away. Oh well, I don't know how many times I did that. I'll try and make note as I'm editing, but sorry about that. So that means our 3 data that we just rolled, which was awesome, is absolutely useless. Okay, now it is Chad's turn. Chad's first action will be to charge some power. He's going to charge 2 and immediately use one of the 2. He's going to use that power to trap inside Chrono G something. This turn, a local explorer ignores 1 time symbol on a map node edge. Chad will go ahead and move into this tile, which will gain him 1 distress because it's flooded. He can ignore this time and gain the 1 insight. We'll move up his insight marker by 1. He's currently not carrying any discoveries, so we can simply just place this somewhere and we don't have to worry about the pip down. He's then going to use his Wonder Die to pick up this bioluminescent discovery. This one arouses glowing enzymes. Then we'll use 1 data from here to use Luna's Activate Hydraulic Suction. Luna draws an adjacent explorer 1 node closer to her. That will pull Chad onto this tile. He can ignore that time, but he's going to gain another distress. This is the 5th out of 6 distress. Oh boy. And he will have to pip down now 1 time because he has 1 discovery. Traveling in these floods are no fun. Let's pip down our Wonder Focus Cube here. Finally, let's rest. We'll continue up our time tracker. Okay, now it's Sophia's turn. Are we going to move Luna? I think we're going to leave Luna where she is. For Sophia's turn, I think we have to start here, pipping down our energy cube, generating 2 more power. We're going to use 1 immediately so that we can gain 1 favor. And I will have to push down my insight. It's not great, but I really need to complete the Bane side, I think. We'll be able to do it again next turn, so yeah, I feel like it's worth it because if we took 2 more distress, right now we only have 1 left here, so that would be really bad. We're then going to use our die here simply to remove 1 of these distress, which I do think we're just simply going to get again in just a second. We're going to move ourselves back in to this tile. We'll gain 1 insight, but we'll gain another distress. We'll pip down this die to a time symbol. We'll then hit our rest here and we'll place that distress here. And we gain that 1 insight. Oh boy, I love this. This puzzle is challenging. I like it a lot. We'll continue to hit that time. And I think we are going to move Luna. We can't let Chad take any more distress. He doesn't have a good way of getting rid of it. So I'm going to move Luna here so that way she can emit that bubble for him next time and he can move around without taking distress. We'll move back to Chad's turn, but the first thing we're going to do is use that data so we can gain another Yendraal favor. I don't have to, well actually I do have to decrease my insight because I did gain 1. I'll place that favor token here. And that means Sophia's insight's back down to 1. But then we are going to definitely use, should we do it? No, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait 1 more turn before doing this because then we can pip up 3 dice because we only have 1 materials. First thing that Chad's going to do is use his Wonder Die to pick up this Spongy Discovery. We needed a Spongy and a Bioluminescent Discovery over in the Research Hut. We now have both of them. I just have to get over to the Research Hut. This anomaly we have is Extract Vitality. We could get rid of a distress and pip up 2 dice. So tempting, but no, I've got to keep going towards helping that ecosystem. We'll use our Energy Focus Cube here to emit a Bio Bubble. And we are going to spend 1 power. This turn, a local explorer ignores 1 time symbol on a map node edge. This means we can ignore this time, we can move to here, we are ignoring this flood thanks to the emit bio bubble. We'll then move Luna to here, spend that 1 data so that she can pull Chad over here. I love this game. Okay, now what we can do is drop off those 2 discoveries that we have. We have 1 of each comprehension type, so we do have the robotics comprehension. We can place Spongy here, and we'll place the bioluminescence that I just dropped on the floor right here. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4. We only need 2 more. Either bioluminescent and photosynthetic or spongy and photosynthetic. We already have spongy with Sophia, so that means all we need is photosynthetic. Of course, our final die has to go to the rest spot. We'll hit our time. 1 away from another endurance loss. Okay, now it's Sophia's turn. The first thing she is going to do is charge this up. So she's going to have to take this down to a time. That will gain us 2 power. We're immediately going to use 1 to get our 3rd one of our Yendraal favors. can ignore this because our insight is at the lowest it can possibly be. This will mean we just need one more and we can actually gain data and materials. I was talking about ignoring this and here I am trying to complete it. Pretty typical. Why don't we go ahead and use our free move to move here, gaining 2 insight. We're now at the delicate edifice. And just so you know, right down here we have the photosynthetic discovery. It's only 2 away from the workshop. Just because I'm here, I'm also going to have Luna move to this tile. We're not going to roll for anything because none of the materials can stay here because it's flooded. And I'm pretty sure the data and materials here should be gone because that tile was flooded before, and I don't think Luna rolled for that since it's been flooded. So I'm going to remove the data and materials there, as if I can't get it. I'm then going to spend that 1 precious materials, activating that little pizzazz. This thing has been saving my life. I can pip up 3 dice. 1, 2. We're going to pip this one up as well, and then we'll choose one of Chad's. Let's do his energy die for movement, 2 as well, from 1 to a 2. I need to remember we gained 2 insight. I'm then going to traverse with this one, taking it down to a 1, and then resting here with this one for 2. That traverse will allow us to move here. Our biggest problem is we're 1 away from here, and during Chad's turn, this potentially could go away. Now, it might stay there as long as we roll a 2 when we do flooding, so we'll see. We'll hit that time again, losing another endurance. That means we have a whopping 2 more times around the track, and that's all we got. Chad, I think, is just going to play a support role here. He's going to use his awareness and his energy die, taking both of those down by 1 to get 1 materials and 1 data. We're then going to use this 1 power so we can gain that final Yendraal's favor. That's because Sophia is using that stimulate microbial mat. She will have to lose 2 insight. At this point, she doesn't even care. Then we'll use that 1 materials so we can pip up 4 beautiful dice. So we're going to do these 2 right here and these 2 on here for Chad. That's a total of 4. That was using the 1 materials. We're then going to move Luna right here, and let's roll for some materials. I need materials so bad. That's 3 materials. Hopefully we don't roll a 1 when we have to flood tiles, or we're going to lose all those. Last but certainly not least, Chad will rest, and that's going to hit our trigger. We'll move that time marker up 1, and now let's roll to see where we're going to flood. We want to keep those 2s if at all possible. We've got 2s and 1s. We also will gain 2 data and 2 materials into our stockpile. That's what I'm talking about. 3 data and 2 materials. We're going to have some fun. The one not so fun part is Sophia is going to gain another distress because she is in a 1 tile. So 1s and 2s will move the 3s out and then refresh. We have them all set up. I was really hoping for a photosynthetic here. Nope, it was spongy. We've got bioluminescent over here, so that means we're going to have to still come over here to the photosynthetic to get this one. And now let's go ahead and give Sophia her 3rd, and that's the final distress. If I lose or take another distress and I don't get rid of one first, we're going to lose 1 endurance for that. We'll have to lose our investigate here, and I'm going to have to pip something down. Let's pip this one down. Oh my gosh. Well, at most, we're going to have to deal with 1 more of these Yendraal favor cards, and that's it. So let's see what this last one is. This one, okay, if both are filled, place a marker on the flood trigger token. And the next time it triggers, okay, that's useless. If both are not filled, all explorers move their insight back to the bottom. That really doesn't matter. So this one we can 100% ignore. Sophia's going to start us off this turn. We're going to move Luna into her space. We're then definitely going to activate the emit bio bubble. We'll have to tick this focus cube down to a 1 to do that, but now the floods will not cause her to gain a distress. She's then going to move over to here, gaining 1 insight and gaining the photosynthetic discovery. We can extract some vitality. Cool. Then, unfortunately, the only thing we can do is rest. I've unfortunately put Chad a bit in a pickle. I'm not sure what he's going to do. Let's see what we're going to do for him. Here's our problem for Chad. We need to have Luna over here to help Sophia be able to get over to the workshop next turn. So I don't really want to move Luna. I could move Luna to here, but activating the emit bio bubble He's not within one node. I don't think that we can do that. So I think, yeah, he's going to have kind of a boring turn. I think he's going to start off with charging up some power. So we'll gain 2 power for that. And then we'll immediately spend 1. And you know what we're going to do. We're going to gain 1 of these Yendraal favors. Once again, using Sophia. So that then if we gain 2 of those, every one of these materials we can pick up 2 dice instead of 1. Not that it's really going to matter, but let's do the Bane. Actually, he's not going to have a wasted turn because he's going to do this. Emit a bio bubble. An explorer within 1 node of Luna can not gain distress from floods this turn. He's going to choose Sophia for that. He can then use one of the data from the stockpile so that he can pull her 1 node closer to where she needs to go. She's going to move into a flooded tile, will not gain distress. Why didn't I think of this? Because the best part about this game is you got to puzzle it out. Ah, Chad, what a great idea. Then what I can do is I can move Luna. I'm going to move Luna over here. I'm assuming I need to get Chad out of that area, but I don't really know where I need to bring him. And so Luna can help him get out of there. I'm going to roll for materials. We'll place 3 there. His 3rd die, he can focus with his rest. He's got a 3, 2, and a 1. This is why this game is so good. All of a sudden you get a plan and you're so excited to activate it. Moving to Sophia's turn, she's going to use that power so she can gain a 2nd Yendraal favor. Then we'll use one of these materials so we can pip up 2 dice. I'm going to grab one of Chad's. Chad's will go to a 2. And let's have Sophia's. This one will go to a 2 as well. Then we can do our free move here. And this says when entering, we get to gain a pip up for each of the Yendraal favors we have completed. We have 2 completed, so we can pip up 2 dice. Let's pip up our energy and our wonder. What do you say we finish our ecosystem with a spongy and a photosynthetic discovery? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You better believe it. Miracles. Our research paid off. We engineer a nutrient surge that sends the entire ecosystem into a buckling whirlwind of rejuvenation and change. The coral cage begins to sink back almost immediately. Remove the 3 sponge tokens from the map and move the scarab adjacent to its nearest node. We may now board the scarab. But no, we need to bring something back for Cricket. Something endearing that might give him a fresh perspective. We all agree, a pet would certainly do the trick. Pets always do the trick. It's not the entire solution, unless it is, which pets sometimes are. With all explorers present, deliver a discovery to the scarab, one that the crew feels will best lift Cricket's spirits. That's definitely some sort of spongy one, don't you think? If we can do that, we survive. Well, we'll see if we can. We've got about time and a half left. So, of course, all this means is we need to get Sophia all the way over to here. Oh, I can remove these sponge tokens. This is now adjacent. So Sophia can just get to here. That's actually not bad at all. No time issues at all. But Chad, on the other hand, we're going to have to wait him through flooding. Yeah, it's going to be a bit tight, but I think we can do it. So it's Sophia's turn. She still hasn't used a die. She did use her free move. She's already used both of her powers. I think we got to do some things on her board. We can use our awareness die here to remove one of these distress cards, but then we can traverse. That will hit our insight, but likely we're going to push it back down. But when we do that traverse, we're going to gain another one of these distress. The nice thing is we don't have any discoveries. We've given them all up, so I don't have to pip down any dice, but I'll place that there, and then we'll go ahead and do a rest. That means, though, we can pick up this spongy discovery if we'd like, so we can get back to the scarab. I am a little bit concerned we're going to run out of time, but I think we can do this. We absolutely cannot, without a doubt, gain a distress. If we gain 1 distress, we already are at max, we lose 1 endurance, and we lose during Sophia's next turn. So I need to be very careful here. We're going to have Luna move here. We're then going to emit the bio bubble. This will allow Chad to simply move here. We're going to spend 1 time to do it, but we can move on to this tile, not gaining any of the distress because of this flooded tile. 1 time, though, is still 1 time. Both Chad and Sophia feel like a spongy discovery is perfect for Cricket. So we're going to acquire that, a Midnight Puff Sponge, because who doesn't want a Midnight Puff Sponge? Doesn't that sound amazing? We'll grab this. It Can also extract vitality. We're not going to do that. We're going to hold on to this. And then our final action will be to simply rest. This means we'll now be on our last time around the track. All right, Chad and Sophie, I believe in you guys. We're 3 planets. We've been able to do it. Let's see if we can do planet 4. Let's go to Sophie. The first thing Sophie is going to do, she's going to use this to remove 1 of her distress because she's going to gain it again. She's going to move to the Yawning Maw, but that's another flooded tile, so that means she'll gain that distress back, but she has none of the discoveries, so no worries about pipping down dice. She's also going to move Luna here so that Luna can start pulling Chad across these time-infested locations. We'll place this back on our investigate. Next, we will do the rest, tipping this up. That'll hit our final trigger of the game. We'll first roll, and let's see what we get. We get just 2s. That's awesome. We only have 3 2s here, here, and here, so I'll remove the rest and replenish them with new discoveries. That was actually incredibly helpful because we can now pull Chad onto this tile during Sophia's turn and not have to emit a bubble because there's no longer a flood here. Wow, that was amazing. We blocked the detriment here. We're not going to trigger it again, right? This one, we gained 3 pip-ups and 3 insight. Return all data and materials in the game to the general supply. That would be pretty bad. We'll end our activation by simply traversing. This will gain us 2 insight. This is pretty gosh darn awesome. We're going to move here. We're then going to use 1 of the 2 data that we have to pull Chad onto this tile. Now it's Chad's turn. The first thing he's going to do is have Luna move here. He's going to use that data that he got, the last data that we have, to pull himself 1 closer to Luna. Let's go ahead and traverse. That will give us 1 insight. And then for fun, let's also support Sophia because Sophia has so many distress. So we can remove this and we'd actually increase our trust. Our trust has stayed high the entire game. So we can actually pip up 2 dice. Let's pip up this one and this one. And then we'll rest here. That means we're going to end the game with only 3 time left. That traverse allows me to carry Sophia over here. Then for Sophia's turn, we'd simply move Luna. We're now on the Scarab. We're off to give Cricket that spongy discovery, and we're set to go. Well, I've got to say, up until I played this task, this was my least favorite planet. I did love how the flooding worked, but overall it had felt relatively easy. Task A was quite easy, especially with 2 explorers. I think it'd be much more challenging with 4. It was very easy, and so this one was, I like having a challenge, but this task was amazing. I felt like this was exactly what I was looking for with this planet, and I will say that's the best part about this game. If you don't like one of the tasks, great, you know it. You can move on to another one. Each planet has 3, and this was a fantastic scenario. I loved it. I loved how it worked. I love that now we know we have Cricket that's on our ship, so we'll make sure to see what he does for our last 2 planets. We have 2 more. I will say I have not played the final one, but I've played the next one, Strannos. I'm going to record it the next day, right after this, because that's how much I'm loving this game. That one is my absolute favorite planet so far. Just calling it out there. I am so excited to show you Strannos. It's awesome. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I hope you'll check this game out, and I hope to see you in my next playthrough. I'll catch you at the next stop.